Hello, Dave.
Ian, how are you?
I am great. And we have a guest. This is our most returned guest, Mr. Doug DeMuro. Hello.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
Frequent flyer.
Thank you for being here. Obviously, I think we owe you more thanks than you do us. I've been so excited to have you on. Like I said, you first came on the show about 5.5 years ago in May of 2016. You came on again in 2017, and now here we are again.
That's crazy. So
again in virtual space.
Can I ask a question before we even get started real quick? In May of 16, how did you guys even find, like, what was I do? My channel wasn't anything. Like, I guess I was writing on Jalopnik or something.
Mm-hmm. Funny story. So you were writing on Jalopnik, and that was how I kind of became aware of you. And then I saw that I enjoyed your columns because you had kind of a column there, and you wrote the book. And I had very ambitious plans for the channel that we were going to do a book club. Mm-hmm. And so we had you on as the first installment of the book club.
Got it. Okay.
I couldn't get AJ Baim to come on to do Go Like Hell, so that was the end of the book club.
Also, I have crippling ADD, so I can only read like comic books. So
nothing was being read anyway. So that's so funny because I was curious about that. I was thinking, back then, I mean, when I tell my origin story, it's that I basically launched the channel really in earnest in the fall of 16. So I was thinking, if I was here in May of 16, what the hell was I even doing then?
Yeah, no, that's true. And I think the other funny thing that I love to tell people about is that the only thing that we could kind of claim as big time for us was you put us on the front page of Jalopnik.
Really? Funsies one day.
Yeah. Well, I think it was about your appearance on our show. Like, I think you pushed our opposite lock onto the front page or something. Within hours, Gawker declared bankruptcy.
Well, it's actually funny that you said that because I never had the authority to push anything onto the front page. So if that actually happened, one of the other guy, I probably told them like, "Hey, can you do this?" But I was always they never thought I was a real person. This guy again, he's come back. Yeah. So I had a lot less sway there than you might think. And so when they declared bankruptcy, it was like, well, all right.
Right.
I think back in early 2016, you say like, what was I doing? It was before this. Like, you were still being Doug DeMuro. Like, you were still being Doug DeMuro.
I guess so. I mean, I really started the channel in the fall of 13, and it was kind of getting some traction. And I was writing for Jalopnik, and I guess I had written about some of those stupid cars that I was buying, like that Hummer, which was just I try not to think about that anymore. Yeah. And so, it was still getting some traction, I guess. No, but it's crazy.
Yeah, like finding your voice, right?
You guys can look back when I was first on this podcast. That was sort of the beginning, and then since then,
right? It was just the Ian and Dave bump is all that it was.
Right.
Forget Joe Rogan.
We're not going to tell you to be anti-vax or anything, Doug. Don't worry. This is a safe place. Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't have to snort creatine powder to be on our show. Yeah. So let's see here. So it's not like anything's changed in the world since you've been on, Doug.
Right. Very similar.
But we've watched your YouTube channel grow. We've watched like the Doug DeMuro force, like in YouTube and in the automotive culture. Like, it's been, especially now, it's been so fantastic to see like such a consistent, strong voice, like positive, and just a generally upbeat, like I would say like foundational voice in automotive culture, right? I think that there's like a few like pillars out there, like Chris Fix, right? Like some of these, like, like the YouTube, like really positive voices in automotive culture. And we really appreciate it. Like, now more than anything, like this is the kind of stuff that like really helps us get through the times, right?
I appreciate that. I get emails that say that kind of thing, and I really appreciate that a lot. Because I mean, I kind of feel the same way. And even when, no matter what was happening over the last 5 years, 2 videos a week, only about cars. The focus, that's what people want to see. And yeah, it's been pretty crazy.
For better or worse, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Like an oasis in the desert.
You know, a lot of the other guys get real political, and I have strong opinions, but I just would rather people use it to escape. They want to go watch their damn car media, you know? And I get it. And so that's my world.
Yeah.
Yeah. We get very political mostly because nobody really watches. So we don't really have much of there's not much like consequences for us. But also like we talk about this a lot, but kind of the push and pull between having cars be kind of an escape. And then also like, well, sometimes we got to go and think about politics because even if we're only thinking about cars, because politics do infect the car world and all that. Right?
Yeah, and I get that. And honestly, if you want to do political content, then a lot of the guys do, like I mentioned. But I just always kind of felt I would always get emails from people who would just be like, "Thank you for just keeping on with the car stuff." And yeah, I mean, there have been some. It's been a crazy few years, obviously, politically, but with COVID and everything's insane. It's just nice to watch some car videos. You know?
Well, you're 1,000% right.
And your timing you kind of almost lucked out in the format that you chose of like, because you weren't really talking about like, what does this car mean in the, to the car world, right? You were just very like, this is what this car does. This is what it is. And the quirks and features and all that.
Right.
And it really allowed you to just kind of stay in that lane without.
Yeah.
Because if you talked about it in the context of anything else over the last 5 years, you're instantly in fraught territory.
Right. And truthfully, those are the videos I like making the most. And it's funny because when I was first on here in Base 16, I don't think I was doing those like quirks and feature car tours. I mean, I was doing videos on the channel, but it was mostly cars that I was buying and doing stupid stuff with to get clicks, But I realized at some point that people like to watch those quirks and features things, and that's what I enjoy the most. I want to see what that freaking button does, And to this day, I'm still so pumped. Here's one. Today I went and reviewed a 1996 Chevy Suburban.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
You guys remember this car? I feel like people about our age, either your parents had one or you knew a kid who had one, and every one of us rode in the back of one of those, that body Suburban or Tahoe or whatever. It was just
My aunts and uncles had like new Suburbans like every couple of years, and so like the I see the buttons. Those like stupid rectangular chunky buttons when I go to sleep at night. They haunt my dreams. Way
too big. Didn't really fit with anything else. Mm-hmm. And the panel gaps between the buttons are like, just why? Why, General Motors? Why do you do this to us?
I know.
That's it. Yep, that's the car.
Right.
But I still, what I was going to say, even today, just driving out to do that, I was so excited. I was like, it was a really nice one. And I was like, I'm still into this. Like there's no part of me that's bored or doesn't want to. I'm like so jazzed to go turn those buttons.
That's awesome, right? Like appreciating like the tactile feel. Like sure, like yes, you've touched Rolls Royce buttons,
right?
Okay, right. And being excited to touch a 1996 Suburban button like that.
Well, cool. Those cars are cool, and they're impossible to find anymore.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. The videos that I like the most are the ones where, like, I did an '86 Maxima a couple months ago, and the one that talks to you, like the door is open. Oh
yeah.
And it's way easier to find a Ferrari from that era that's been preserved than an '86 Maxima. Everybody saved the Ferraris. Nobody, except that horrid thing. Nobody bothered to save those, and it was like a total trip. There's me. The image search there.
Oh, that's funny.
I had a friend that was restoring like an 80-something Pontiac Grand Am, and everybody else is just like, all right, okay, okay, all right. Now in the Radwood era, sure.
I just find stuff like that to be so interesting. Cars that we grew up with. And, those Suburbans they were a dime a dozen. And the owner of the car told me people come up to him at gas stations are like, holy crap, man, this is amazing. Right. And it's like when I was a kid, that was just a car. You threw up in those,
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
I spilled sodas in many of those.
Yeah, totally.
Right. One of those cars that you see a picture of and the interior smell like instantly, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Yeah.
Yep. And how the dash lights up in some horrid green glow, terrible font. You just know those things that were common to all of the cars from that era. You just don't want to be part of it.
I used to have an 88 Nissan pickup, right? Which is why it can't be the security question to any of my accounts. And the bottom plastic under tray, for some reason, the right-hand side of it would warp down on like every single like 80s and early 90s Nissan pickup truck. So you'd see one and you just know, like, if I get a glimpse of that like skid plate, like I know it's going to be warped down. Yeah, like the Nissan Wang. Yeah.
And none of them. The thing is, it was actually funny because this Suburban didn't have a cracked dashboard, and that was the Nissan under tray of the Suburbans of that era. They all cracked, and so that he was really excited. Like, I can't believe I found one that didn't have a cracked dash, because it was such a common issue.
Right? Yeah, that's awesome, man. That's awesome. It's also a testament to like how deep like the automotive passion runs, right? That you're like. You're not just like a Suburban, like, this is like, this is the kind of stuff that interests you,
Totally.
Like, I love that. I
think that the viewers, I think that's clear to the viewers. And I think that's one of the reasons I've been relatively successful.
Absolutely. That comes through so easily. Right.
Yes.
So another thing that we do want to talk to you about is because we know that you're passionate, or at least have an opinion about vanity plates.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
Yes. So you obviously have your like the hunter's like wall of antlers. You have your wall of fantastic low number plates, right?
Yeah. I like to think those are all state senators that you've murdered.
Dude, some of those are pretty insane. I have a former governor of South Dakota plate, and one of his aides emailed me and was like, "How did you get this?" I was like, "Well, I don't know, eBay. I swear."
That's so awesome. And your Defender has a vanity plate.
Yeah, most of the cars do. Yeah.
Okay. All right. And so it's something that we're fascinated with on the show. We have listeners that send us vanity plates that they see out in the world. And from that, I devised a little game that we'll play today. So I'm going to show you 3 cars with their vanity plates blacked out. Okay. And then I'll text on the side are the 3 options for those vanity plates.
Got it.
Now, since you're on the show, the theme of this is positive vibes. So this is a generally positive themed license plates. So let me pull that up here. So let's see here.
And it is my job, skipping ahead if I may, to match up the car to the license plate.
Exactly.
Yes. And
exactly.
The genius of this game is that you really have to get into the mindset of the person who buys this car and modifies it or doesn't modify it in the way that you see, and also gets this vanity plate. Right.
So
I can already tell this is going to be very difficult.
So Doug has in front of him, and Ian has not seen this either, except he has seen one of them because he took the photo. Yeah. We have an Audi Q8, a black Audi Q8. Right. We have a Volkswagen GTI.
All right, D-badge.
Yep, there you go. Yeah, that are these last 2 here.
That's not a GTI. That's just a Golf.
Golf. Okay. Because he wanted people to think it was a GTI, and he fooled Dave.
You did. Shutting it down. The show's over. And our buddy Eric in Illinois sent us these last 2 here. So the Volkswagen Golf and a Jeep Wrangler without the doors, or with the metal high airflow doors, the Canon air filters of doors.
Yeah, the lightweight doors there.
No, the license plate. Go ahead. Yeah.
I have to choose which of these 3 plates goes to which of these 3 cars.
Mm-hmm.
Correct.
Yep. So you have Bueno as an option, Hawaii, Hawai, and Happy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Someone got the license plate Happy.
They did.
Right? Either Illinois or Colorado.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, Hawaii is interesting because we know the Jeep is from Chicago. They're both, the bottom 2 are both from Illinois, huh?
Yes.
Okay.
That's a good context clue that I don't know if I should have given you.
Yeah.
Well, the Naperville thing on the tire, I would have been able to at least figure out that the Jeep was from Illinois.
Okay.
But okay. Here is my thought process. Bueno. Are those Golfs made in Mexico still? Or were they?
They were for a long time. I think
There's
they
a little
still are.
play on Spanish there.
Okay. I would like to add one piece of information. I don't know if this will sway anything, but they all had very basic license plate frames. So the Audi had a black license plate frame. The VW had a white one to match it. Okay. And then the Jeep had kind of a reddish one. You can kind of make it out in the picture here. And we can do a little zooming. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Here's what I'm thinking. I think that the Jeep is happy. The Golf is bueno. And the Q8, which I think is an SQ8 maybe.
It is.
It is, yeah.
Is Hawaii. And I'm going to say that because the Jeep is happy. The dude's got his doors out, you know, he's just kind of chilling. He's driving. Although those cars are incredibly popular in Hawaii, so you could see that. But he's in Illinois. That car's never been in Hawaii. Then the Golf is bueno because he's got the whole Mexican Spanish thing. And the SQ8, he's going to Hawaii because he's rich and people like that. He's from Colorado. He's spending time in Hawaii. He's got the money. That's what it is.
Okay. Ian, would you like to? I mean, you know one of them.
I know one of them.
Okay.
And I know for sure that Doug got the one from Colorado.
Oh, I got it wrong.
Yeah. This is that age-old. Would you like to change your answer?
I can't believe somebody was able to get the plate happy.
Right? I know. I was surprised too.
That's going to be the next score on the wall next time we watch one of your videos, and we're going to be like, oh my God, we better never piss Doug off.
All right, I simply can't believe that the SQ8 person got happy, because I suspect the person with that plate showed up the day that personalized license plates became available in that state.
Uh-huh.
And I just think that wasn't so. Fine, I'll say that one is bueno, and we can give happy to the we can give Hawaii to the Jeep and happy to the Golf. I've now switched them all.
I hate to tell you, Doug. The Audi is happy.
Oh.
Wow, no way.
I know, right? This one's a real weird one.
You killed the guy who had happy before?
You know what? I think it's like what is that? The Highlander situation. Yes.
Well, I mean, come on, think about that. There's
right?
6 million people in Colorado or something. How did this dude get happy on his cute car's a year old?
Right?
Yeah. I don't know.
Although I will say, I was filming like a year ago, and I was filming a guy's driveway, and the dude across the street had the California license plate NY. That was it. Oh. And it was on an E46 M3, I think. And I was pretty surprised by this. And at some point, the neighbor across the street realized that I was like filming. And he came over to like see what was going on. And I said, by the way, like, how did you get this? He said, it was like midnight and I was about to go to sleep and I was messing around on the vanity plate ordering thing and it was available. And he was like, he's like, I'm not even from New York. I'm not even like a fan of their sports teams. He was like, but I was like, I have to get this. Like, this is great. So maybe the person like was, it's available. I should get happy.
Yeah, that's like the guy that was able to buy Google.com, like for, right. Like he was able to register for it for like 10 minutes, Right. Yeah. He's got some capital timing.
So I didn't get any of these correct, both despite guessing twice at each of them.
I think that this one's a little bit of a teaser because I think you'd think that the person that like say it lives in Illinois and has been to Hawaii and wants to take some island life home with them, right? You think their daily driver would be a Jeep, right?
Right.
That's what I would have thought too. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, that person is, Hawaii is everybody's sunny and everybody's doing stuff, and this person's living in the Chicago burbs with a Golf. That's not really what I would expect.
Right.
They did get the license plate with the cardinal on it though, so there's that.
We wanted to get that like kind of positive vibe plates. Now, if you'd like, we don't have to do this. I actually have another one.
Yeah, bring it on.
Okay. Now, Ian has not seen any of these. So the theme about this one, and I can't believe that I managed to get 3 of these together, but this is new car, old plate. I think that we've all seen, like, you can tell when someone had a car. Yep. Okay. So here we go. So, oh my God, I almost gave you the answers right off the hop. Okay. All right. So here you go. So, while you guys digest that, I'll narrate it. So we have a maroon or burgundy Kia Optima. Okay. We have a black Toyota 4Runner, pretty new. And then we have a BMW X3. Now, the license plate options are Multipass, MLT1PAS, Alex AMG, ALEX AMG, and then Carrera, CARR3RA.
This is potentially the saddest thing I've ever seen in my life.
Right, because regardless of interesting. Now, can I ask a question that
Go for it.
That license plate MLT1PAS, is that an Arizona license plate by chance?
It is not. It is a Colorado plate.
Okay, these are all Colorado plates. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I took the multi-pass plate.
Dude, Alex AMG
Yeah.
and Carrera. I mean, any of these cars with Carrera on them would be such a disappointment.
I took the Carrera picture as well. Our buddy Peter took the Kia picture.
Oh, so the Kia is not Carrera.
Oh, shit. Oh, my God. Damn it.
I noticed it too. I wasn't going to say anything.
Okay, all right.
I was really hoping.
Would have been really disappointed if it was.
Really hoping. Yeah.
You got a freebie out of me. Damn it. I'm not going to see. Ian was trying to get something out of me earlier. I can't give any clues. Yeah.
Okay, I think. But like, it's good that you said that because I definitely would have guessed Carrera for the Kia. It's the sportiest of these cars, unless you consider the X3. Okay, I'm going to say Carrera for the X3. And I'll say Alex AMG for the Optima, and it's his initials, so it's fine. Totally cool, dude. No problem. Leaving the last one for the 4Runner, which seems to make sense to me for some reason.
Okay. Ian?
I think man.
Oh, and by the way, Ian, Carrera on the X3 has a 3 in it. X3, think about it.
Well, and I think Carrera on the X3 makes sense because that seems like the thing of like I traded in my Porsche because I had 2 kids and now I drive a BMW X3. Like that is the target demographic for the BMW X3, I feel like.
Right.
So that makes sense. I think the puzzling one is the AMG one. I want the AMG one to be the Kia because I want it to be like a stonk story gone bad sort of thing.
They bought a bunch of GameStop and Dogecoin and
yeah. That's what I'm hoping on. So then Multipass is the 4Runner. Did we say the same thing?
Agree. Yeah, we agree.
Okay, we agree. Okay.
Well, I have good news for both of you. You're completely correct.
Interesting.
Yes.
So Doug, you mentioned that the Multipass feels right on the 4Runner for some reason, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
We've seen other like Multipass things on cars, Honda Elements.
Yeah.
And they've done like fifth element, like put fifth.
Yeah.
So if somebody's going to upgrade their element, outdoorsy shit, right? The 4Runner, that's like...
Yeah, they don't make anything like an element anymore, and maybe you got a little more money. And that looks like a TRD Pro too, right? Or at least an off-road.
Yeah. See, that instinct, right? You knew it, but you didn't know why.
The Carrera person also was doing the 3 to match the X3. I have a suspicion.
Or at least that's their excuse to keep the plate.
Yes, that was a rationalization. How they made themselves feel better about it. That's exactly what it was.
Yeah, occasionally I'll see a plate like this, and it's just, in Georgia, the license plate M3 I once saw, and it was at the time on a Hyundai Sonata, just M3. And I was like, damn, that dude's pissing off a lot of people. Every time he drives.
Oh my God.
So many. Yeah, the Bimmer forums are just alight with
I'm
sure.
I
saw him and I offered him $500 for it. He won't do it.
I would just park, if I had that plate on that car, I would just pack a picnic, park at the entrance to the racetrack on the BMW day, and just eat a picnic.
I've thought about doing this with my own car, getting vanity plate that doesn't match the car but is really obscure, like ILX 2.4, or like some other car that was like, why would you be, even if you had that car, why would you get a vanity plate for it? Like Stratus,
right. AMC Eagle,
right? And then people be like, but it isn't one. But also, like, did he have one before? Like, what is going on here?
Right?
Yeah.
That would be hilarious.
This is something we talk about all the time on our show about like misbadging cars.
Right.
Because our point is always like, and this, you know, we would wonder the same thing if we saw what you did. Like, who is it for? Because anyone who cares enough to think it's cool but also know that it's not what you're saying it is. So like
the biggest annoyance with these up badge people.
Mm-hmm.
I was behind an X5M the other day. It was a base X5, and they didn't change a single thing other than they put an M badge after X5, and it's like, this isn't something.
Yeah, right. We call that Carstanza because it's basically the automotive version of George Costanza, like lying about being an architect.
Here you go. Here's one from the hopper. There you go. This guy with his BMW X1.
Why would you do that? Also, those are nice cars. Like they're it's not like you bought some crappy car. It's not like you're trying to up badge a Geo Metro here. Like just own it, you know?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And I like that it's the tiny little X,
the little one,
the little M.
There was no attempt made to match the sizing.
He made one eBay purchase and that was it.
Right.
Yep. Then he couldn't remember his PayPal password after that.
Never understood why people do it. I think that's one of the most bizarre things that people do on a regular basis. It's way more legit when people debadge cool cars.
Yes.
Right. Well, and we saw, we got one sent to us. Is it in? Yes. So the other end of that spectrum, though, is when people put so much effort into it that you're like, what is your story? Dave in the done with you, Dave don't look folder is the Jaguar minivan that we got sent.
Yeah.
Doug, you're gonna lose your mind because I lost my shit over this, and Dave like about had an aneurysm when he saw it.
Yeah.
But this
is what happens when you work at a body shop and you got a week where nobody came in. I've always wondered about stuff like this. And it's parked next to an F-Type. How perfect.
Right.
That's so the story that we concocted, because we got the person who took this picture and sent it to us told us that this is like in a corporate office park. It's like the corporate offices for like a hotel chain. And there's nobody else parked here. So in our heads, this is somebody with a lot of money to burn and a lot of spite in their heart and one annoying coworker who won't shut the fuck up about their F-Type.
Right? And like this person's spouse like owns a body shop or something. They're like, you really want to mess with Brian? Give me the van for a week.
Well, the thing is, it's from an S-Type and you got to figure those were free to, they cost nothing and crashed ones cost even less.
Yeah.
Right.
You know what part of me wonders? Do you think this could have been a passenger shuttle at a Jaguar dealership before they offered SUVs? Like, we'll bring you back to your house or something like that, or to the train station. I mean, it's in Minneapolis, it looks like, right? Or Minnesota somewhere.
Yeah, it is. It's in the Twin Cities. That's an interesting thought.
That's a great idea.
Like, they got a body shop and they're like, hey, we have a shuttle, but we don't want to shuttle our customers in a Toyota because that's a bunch of BS.
Right.
But then again, if that was true, why would they have painted it the colors of a porta potty?
Right. I mean, honestly, it works better than it should.
It doesn't look bad.
Yeah.
Right.
It looks like those Mitsuoka things. Have you ever seen those? Oh my god. Yeah.
I know what you're talking about. Yeah. I also think that it looks better than an S-Type.
Oh yeah. It must be an S-Type hood also when you think about it. Actually, some work went into this.
Yeah. The more it's one of those things like your first instinct is just to be like, well, that's silly. But then the more you look at it, you're like, oh, this person's insane.
Right. And where's the Jaguar hood ornament? If you're gonna do it, do it.
That's the most maddening thing because we talked about this because that shows that this person has a tiny bit of restraint.
Right, they're like I'm gonna create a Jaguar minivan, but I'm gonna go subtle.
I'm not a crazy person.
We're gonna paint it that Volvo blue color, but then we're gonna just dial it back a little bit.
Yes, I'm spending $23,000 on this, but I'm not a maniac.
Let me just guarantee this is a body shop employee with some time, or a Jaguar customer shuttle, or someone wanted to show someone that it could be done. What a bizarre thing,
right? Yeah, maybe like a fiberglass like specialty shop or something.
Right.
Like, yeah, like we're very good at custom work. See?
Right. But this wouldn't be, and then people would look at it and be like, yes, you are, but
I just love that it exists. Like,
right.
I sometimes think about it and I'm just like, it's out there. And it makes me happy.
The problem with this is this person will inevitably eventually come to us on Cars and Bids and say, okay, I want a $25,000 reserve for this vehicle because I've got 22 in it.
Right.
And I think it's worth, even though it's a 2012 Sienna with 194,000 miles and 3 accidents, I got 22 in it. And so that's what I think it's.
I like that.
Amazing.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah. I don't know. There's stuff that just leaves us speechless sometimes, you know.
Totally.
Yeah.
Was the back altered at all, or was it just the paint?
We didn't get pictures of the back. This is the only 2 angles that we saw.
We'll have to send Ryan with our Apex adjacent street team back out into the streets,
running around somewhere in the Twin Cities.
Yeah. We got to get them high vis vests at some point. Yeah, they're going to be a liability. Yeah.
How bizarre.
So should we talk about Cars and Bids? You want to talk about Cars and Bids for a little bit?
Yeah, I definitely do, because I'm curious, like, you know, why or how you see it kind of fitting in with sort of the Bring a Trailers and the eBays and Craigslist and the whole ecosystem that we have around.
Yeah, I mean, it's
decisions.
Not a small ecosystem, but you know, the thing about Bring a Trailer is, I love Bring a Trailer and I think they're great, and I still think that, but you know, I don't know, it got kind of expensive. You know, have you noticed that? I mean, yeah, getting emails from them every month. You know, they wrap up their month and they say, "Here's what we did," and they like sold a Miura.
Yeah,
I'm like, well,
yeah,
these days are over. I'm not, you know, I don't know. And now they run a ton of auctions too, and it's just gotten a little challenging to kind of figure it all out. And I don't know. We kind of felt that there was a market for just newer stuff. Younger people are interested in these newer cars, and they say, I don't know. It seems it's so far so good. We've done really well, and it's been a great place for people to do this, to buy and sell these cars. That, you know, it's certainly above Craigslist. We reject a ton of cars. People come to us with kind of crappy stuff, but maybe it's not quite on the level, especially in terms of the vintage stuff. I don't know. It's not the stuff I'm into. You know, I really was into the newer stuff, and that's where a lot of young people are focused now. And I really think that we've kind of proven the concept too, because it's gone well so far.
Yeah, I think that's great, and you're totally right. I mean, things are definitely crazy. I mean, I don't know if you saw the Bring a Trailer one yesterday that was going around. That was the 323E that went for like $24,000.
Yeah, prices are wild. We've had some really crazy ones, even every day. And it's funny because people fight us so hard on reserves, and I want to tell people, like, just get this thing up, like, and you just never know. But we've had cars double their reserve, and we're sitting there like, what is going on? But there's 3 people bidding, so it's not like a fluke. And I don't know. It's a crazy market right now.
Yeah,
obviously.
I feel so happy. We bought our like family car, the replacement for the Saab, last year, like right before things went totally bonkers. And I every once in a while I'll check the prices on the car that we bought, and I'm just like,
well, what did you get?
We got a 2018 Volkswagen Alltrack.
Oh, nice. Cool.
Yeah,
I was afraid you were going to say Atlas, and then I'd have to be like, oh.
Your history of poor decisions continues. Yeah.
No, you know, we drove an Atlas. Dave and I did right around when they first came out. But I feel like we didn't get a good impression of it. But I thought maybe that was because we had it in the wrong context.
Nah, no one's got a great impression. The thing, those cars are popular for the Volkswagen just leases them at unreal low prices. That's what they're really hot for. And they're still moving those. But I'll tell you, the market is so insane right now. I was shooting. First off, I had a hell of a time tracking down a new Honda Civic, which is insane. Like, it's a Honda Civic. Like, come on. A Honda told me they couldn't get me one until the end of October, and I'm like press car.
Wow.
So I was like, all right. So I found a dealer that had one. and I shot that. But I was here's the craziest story I've heard. I was at a Nissan dealership. I shot a Pathfinder, the new Pathfinder, and I was at a Nissan dealership in LA. I had to drive 3 hours to LA just to shoot a Nissan Pathfinder, and they had one. And they told me that typically they have 150 cars in their lot. Right now they got 51. And they said to supplement their business, what they're doing is buying used Highline. So they had an Urus there. They had all these Teslas and Hellcats and a Nissan dealer in LA, right? And they told me that they said that in their group of dealerships, they have Nissan, Mercedes-Benz, and Kia. They said last month, the Nissan dealership sold more G-Wagons than Mercedes. There's no inventory. I'm like, holy crap, this is insane.
Some Mercedes salespeople are getting raked over the coals for that, right?
Well, I mean, you saw the thing. There's no V8s for this model year. Like, nobody's got cars.
Yeah,
it's crazy. It's so crazy.
I'm sorry. I have to click on this Lexus SC400 that's on Cars and Bids right now. Like highly modified. It's like light teal. Ian, why am I not buying this car right now?
Add to cart, man. Do it.
Yeah.
It's an automatic.
It's aftermarket turbo. Well, all the V8s were autos, unfortunately, for that car.
Yeah,
I think we sold a couple stick. I think we sold a couple stick 6-cylinders.
Oh my god!
I forget that sometimes because I actually, when we're in Chump Car, we raced against an SC400 that somebody had done a manual swap on it.
Oh, really? Wow!
It was super cool. It was very cheaty. Like it was like a team of like pro drivers that were an amateur team.
Yeah.
One of those things.
Oh,
there you go.
God. Oh, I want this car. Okay, I just bought a project car and I'm not telling you what it is. Yeah,
it's a steering wheel on a SC400. When the 84-year-old person bought this vehicle new, they never expected that it would end up in this fashion.
Right.
That's something that we've talked about on the show too, of like the brands that have the largest demographic swap between first and second owners.
Right.
And
Land Cruiser is a great one, right? Like that's all old rich people and then some 24-year-old kid who lifts it,
Right.
I think Infinities too, like Infinity,
totally.
right? Because the G35 scene, the second owners to those is totally different than the first owners.
I was driving today and I came up behind a Mark IV Supra, which is an event that happens once a year, like if that. And it was totally stock. And I pull up next to it and it is an old woman.
Okay.
And it was probably an NA Auto, right? But still. And I'm like, damn, this is so legit. If you only knew who was going to buy this car from you when you die, like it will be somebody very different from you. But I'm sure it's approached all the time in parking lots and stuff.
You need like a sticky tracking device for that. You just throw it out the window.
Right.
Just give me the VIN. I want to. Yeah, right. I want this for later.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
You need to set up a Google alert.
The thing that's kind of interesting in California is that, to an extent in Colorado, honestly, but in the West, the cars are preserved so much that people can do that. They can buy it. They liked it then. They just keep it going. Like there's no rust that they're contending with. And so it's kind of interesting. Sometimes you see it. I saw a mint 240SX on the road the other day with its original plates, probably its original owner. And who knows if the dude even knows that that car will be a drift vehicle and you can probably get 30 for it because it was perfect, that's just kind of what happens out here. Sometimes cars stay with their first owners forever and ever and ever.
My neighbor, who I share a driveway with, has a Chevy SS with a
Camaro SS.
Camaro SS.
Like the 96,
Yeah, like a 96 Camaro SS. It's an auto, but it only has like 20,000 miles on it because he's the original owner. He never drives it. And I have been trying to tell him, like, people are going crazy for these things. Like, you could actually, this is the only time in history this car has been worth money.
That's so true. We just sold a Firebird for some really big money. Those fourth gens are starting to become valuable cars.
Yeah.
And it's the only time in history, right? Like people bought some of those, especially the later ones, really nice ones, and mothballed them and like, oh, this will be worth a ton someday. Well, now's your time. This is it. Sell.
Right.
Yep. Yeah.
But there's not insane stuff on Cars and Bids when it comes to prices. Like this that Lexus that I'm pining over is only $2,400 at the current time. Yeah, I mean,
we just tried to do a range. I mean, there's that Tesla there that'll sell for some money, but I try to do a little bit more of a range involved. And I don't know, I think there's something to that. Enthusiasts want kind of that whole spectrum, and that's what I like. That's what I like to see. And And so it's kind of cool to have that stuff on there, in my view, anyway.
Yeah, the CRX for $4,200. If it's clean, yeah.
Click on that. How many miles does that car have? That's got to be a ton.
336,000 miles.
Called that out in the headline because that mileage is one of those mileages where it's actually kind of cool to have, Yeah.
Look at the interior. Jeez, it's not showing.
Yeah. Some of these cars, they just stay nice.
Right.
And sometimes the owners will be like, you would never tell. And it's like, yeah, well, it still has 200,000 miles. And we can't give you a reserve from a 50,000 mile car. Even if mechanically it feels like a 50,000 mile car. Sorry. It's just not the way it really works. That FTRX7 is pretty nice. It's a nice
I love the quantity of modified stuff on here. This is great.
We like weird stuff. Weird manual versions of cars. There was an X3 manual up above. 360 Challenge Stradale. It runs the gamut. We try to get it all.
Well, it's basically like what before someone types in Craigslist.org, it's like what you are hoping to see when you pull it up, right? What every enthusiast thinks they're gonna see.
Yep.
Right. Yeah, like the good stuff. And of course that isn't really true, and most of the stuff doesn't pop up. But yes, this is the second Dodge Dakota convertible we've had. I actually reviewed the first one a couple of weeks ago, and it was quite an interesting vehicle.
I was gonna say I just watched that video, and I was like, this is a different one, right? That's crazy.
Yeah,
that's so interesting.
God. What a car that was! What they were thinking was beyond me.
Did those same engineers go on to make the Cross Cabriolet? Yeah.
And remember the Chevy SSR and
Corrado. I love Corrado so much.
Things are so cool.
Go into the search bar up there and type in Corrado. Last week we sold a one owner Corrado.
Wow.
That black one
here. Wow.
The dude
the SLC.
Oh, and it's the VR6 too. That's the one you want.
I was like, I'm always so like humbled when someone who has a car for 30 years like chooses us as like the place to end their journey with it.
Yeah.
But that's like insane. And the dude, he posted in the thing and was like, I never thought I'd sell it, but I don't know. They're coming up probably a little bit in value, and at some point you're just kind of ready to move on. But a one owner Corrado, there's got to be only about 7 of those left.
Yeah. Yeah.
A lot of
90,000 miles. Yeah. Amazing. Yeah, you've got some awesome stuff on here, Doug.
Yeah, there's always a good eclectic little mix of interesting cars for sure.
Yeah. Wow. How much of your day is typically consumed by cars and bids kind of work?
I do most of the intakes and most of the car, or not most. I do about half the intake.
Okay.
So most of the cars that get submitted to us, and then I gotta assign reserves or that sort of thing, accept, deny, that kind of stuff. Because I feel like just the cars that are chosen, that's a really important part of the site. And then I write a little take on each one. If you scroll down and
the Doug take,
and I'm still writing every one of these, and it's just a lot of work. And I don't know what I was thinking, trying to get that to happen. I don't know what we're gonna do when the baby comes, but I
assumed that you had an intern doing that.
No, we have started to do a hybrid thing where some of the editors are writing them and then I go and edit them. And I think that's probably where we'll end up, because at this point we've had most of the cars on at least once. And so they can at least craft it, and I can kind of go in and say, oh, this is change this, change that, whatever. I don't have another option. We're running 20 of these auctions a day. It's hard to run them all.
That's a lot.
Yeah, it is.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
I didn't realize you were so like day-to-day involved.
No, yeah, for sure. Every day I'm cars and bids is a big portion of the day. But I love it. It's the coolest thing in the world. And honestly, you can't necessarily rely on YouTube forever. So being able to have, that is a pretty cool. Is that an SRT 10 ramp? Look at that. Those are the coolest trucks.
Yeah. I've seen a couple of them in person. Yeah. Right? Yeah. I saw one at a construction site. Yes. Really? Construction worker, you are freaking living right.
Yeah. Newly divorced, probably. He's like, oh my God, buy me the coolest truck.
Yes, this picture right here with the cigarette lighter in the ashtray. That's great.
The concept of a V10 and a pickup. It's funny. The TRX is faster in every way, but it's a stick shift Viper powered truck. Like it's so much crazier.
Yeah, quit digging. You struck gold, man. Like, yeah.
So
I want one of these. I have a rule that I can only bid on stuff if it's no reserve. And so sometimes the car will come on and I'll beg the seller. I'll be please. And they'll be like, no. And they don't understand why I'm at, And then I'll say, okay, what if I could promise you it'll hit the reserve? Because
you're the one bidding.
I will make sure that it bids up to that point. But I feel like it's unfair to bid when I know the reserve. So like,
right.
I would be into a truck like this, but I think it had a reserve on it.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Well, that brings up a good question actually, because you buy and sell cars a lot, and you're about to have a fairly big life change.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering, what the baby transportation solution is going to be, and if there's going to be a change coming.
Although I have some bizarre vehicles that I kind of screw around with, my daily driver cars is a new Land Rover Defender, and that's a pretty good baby mobile, and so I think that'll be a totally acceptable and rational car. Now, I also have a 1994 Audi RS2 station wagon, which is one of the coolest cars ever, in my opinion. And it was the first Audi RS car, one of the first fast station wagons. And I'm trying to convince my wife to let us bring the baby home from the hospital in that car, which has no airbags and no safety equipment at all. But that's an ongoing fight. We'll see what happens.
Well, but the baby doesn't use the airbags at all anyway.
Right? That's my point. A. And B, he's in the cocoon of the car seat. We'll put it in the middle, away from the sides, But it's not just the airbags, right? Like when you really think about the improvements in safety technology over the last 30 years, cars are a lot. And it's funny, I still have people come up to me and be like, I'm still driving the same whatever that I was driving whenever, and it's paid off and it cost me nothing. And it's like, okay, well, I hope you don't die. Like, I know that there's a lot of point of pride for some people in having these older cars, but there's some real advancements. Backup cameras are great, let me tell you.
Right?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. But baby's first car ride in RS2 Avant.
Right. I mean, you got to do that, right?
Right.
See, I think what you did, what you screwed up, is you got to start the negotiation with a
Lamborghini,
with strapping it to the Ford GT.
Right, and then kind of work my way back in the RS2. Yeah, that would have been a smart idea. It is legal and in California and probably in most states, if you only have a 2-seat car, it is legal to have your child ride in the front passenger seat.
Yeah,
but not advisable.
Yeah, it's not advisable. I had checked on that, and I thought there was in some states at least that you had to have the airbag disable thing.
Sure, yeah, I'm sure.
Which I don't have in the Volkswagen, but then they have back seats anyway.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. So I do want to before we run out of time, I do want to play another game with you.
Okay.
So we've played this game with you before. It's a game we play on the show all the time called FMK Cars.
Yep.
Based on the classic game Fuck, Marry, Kill, but we put cars instead of people. Right.
Right.
So you're going to get 3 cars with a catch, and you have to assign FMK and decide which one you're going to marry and be your daily driver, which one you're going to drive it for a day, which one you're going to kill, you're going to crush it. Okay? So this one is called This is an FMK Cars for Doug DeMuro, and there are many quirks and features.
All right, bring it on.
These are the modern cars on the Doug score list with the lowest Doug score.
Okay.
Right? All 21st century.
Hard to marry one of these. I already know what they are.
Yeah. 21st century cars, the 3 lowest, and they're all going to have a Doug DeMuro specific twist. Okay. So the first one, a 2017 Mercedes-Benz Metris.
Biggest piece of crap car that has ever existed.
Yep.
But practical and modern.
The Doug score was 30.
Yeah.
You must pronounce the word this like this in everyday life every time you use the word. Okay?
Very
so like
presentational.
When somebody comes over to get your order at the restaurant, I'll have this.
Right.
All right.
Right.
Next one, 2016 Mitsubishi Mirage. Every time you change locations, you go to a friend's house, to the grocery store, you're at the doctor's office for a checkup. You must spend a minimum of 2 minutes describing the quirks and features of your surroundings, no matter who is around. So if you're by yourself, you do it by yourself.
Okay, got it. Okay.
Right.
But if there's people there, still got to do it. All right. Lastly, 2012 Nissan Murano Cross Cabriolet, one of our favorites, because it's just like what were they thinking? Upon meeting a new person, you must give them a Doug score, and you must tell it to them, and you are not allowed to lie.
Okay. God, this is hard. It's too bad that those things are associated with each of those cars, because it would be easier if I could mix and match those things.
Mm-hmm.
If you were just picking on cars alone, what do you think you would do? Mirage, Metris, Cross Cab. Mirage, Metris, Murano. What's with M's? Yeah.
Oh, yeah. He just doesn't like M cars. Oh, and you don't like the Maseratis either.
No, what? God, that's a tough one, because you don't want to be involved in any capacity with the Metris or the Mirage. You know? So you're thinking to yourself, all right, well.
Because my thinking when I designed this was that you would, all things equal, choose the Murano, because it's the best, it's the most car of the group, and also it's the weirdest.
Yeah, it's the one you want. I mean, it's the only good one in as much as it is good.
Right. Which is why it has the worst catch. That's why it's a game.
Okay, got it. That is a terrible catch. That's the problem. Okay, if I was just doing on the cars alone, I think I would choose the Murano. I think you have to kill the Mirage. It's just so bad. But that leaves you with effing the Metris, which doesn't seem to make sense, but you're not going to do the Mirage. So now, with the stuff in place, the Metris's drawback wasn't that bad. So I would probably marry the Metris, and also it's practical.
Yeah.
Having to say this every time. Like, I think that would be fine. You'd almost have to kill the Murano, because you can't tell people that they suck, you know. And I think most people suck, so it'd be a bad situation. And that, I guess, leaves you with the Mirage as the last one, but only because you're kind of screwed. You have no other choice.
Yeah.
So for a day, you'll drive the Mirage.
Right.
Yeah.
What if you had a Mirage for a day and just a free time on Doug DeMuro's agenda? What would you do?
Here's a funny story. When I was in Thailand 2 years ago, I rented a car. And of course, they have all these weird cars that I've never seen. And I'm like, even if they put me in some crappy car,
right,
I've never seen it before, that would be at least interesting. No. They gave me a Mirage sedan, which was called something even worse there. And God, and it had some worse engine too, which is just like, how could this be? But then I was right-hand drive, so I'm sitting there making life compromises to drive a Mirage. I would have taken any other car, but it's what they had. But no, they're the worst things in the world. And the thing is, people gave me a lot of crap for that review, because I really tore it to pieces. And they're like, what about people who can't afford it? And they're not that much cheaper than cars that aren't terrible. You know?
Right.
Really aren't.
Or reliable used cars.
Right. Yeah. Right. Get a Civic.
I have this weird theory about the Mirage, because I think we know a few people in kind of car Twitter and stuff like that have kind of a soft spot for these things and kind of love them. And I think it's because it's the only legitimately bad car on sale right now. Yeah. You know, so people it's so bad that it's kind of a throwback, and people. Yeah.
Plus, car journalists will advocate for anything, any car they'll stand up for. You know, and
right.
The other bad car on sale is the Dodge Journey, which remains on sale despite being bad.
Yes,
terrible. In fact,
we have a long-running hatred of the Dodge Journey. Yeah,
just a horrid car. I was driving just today, actually, and I got up behind a Kia Sorento with federal government license plates. And the U.S. government has a rule that they have to buy American if they can. And the Sorento is built in America. But I was thinking, so it probably fits the rule, but I was thinking to myself, they passed up American brand cars. Because the American crap is so bad in this segment. But I bet the Journey probably is not built in America, so maybe it wouldn't even solve but it's the worst. That car is the worst. Isn't it still sold with a 4-speed auto?
I think so. I drove one. I got one as a rental a few years ago, and it was actually probably not long before you were on the show the first time.
Yeah.
And it was
back when it was crappy then. It's been 5 more years and it's still the same crappy car.
Right.
Yeah, I know. And it drives me crazy because it's like this would be so much better if it was a minivan. Like if you had just put sliding doors on it, I think everyone would overlook all of the faults of it. Right? But like you had to make it look like a muscle car.
People
which
want
is fooling no
SUVs.
one.
That's the whole world. That's everything. Everybody wants every SUV that can be made.
It's unbelievably bad.
I do want to loop back to what you said about making potentially life compromising situations in a Mitsubishi Mirage. Like that, in my mind, that just made me think of like, despite lockdowns and a raging pandemic, people were just so damn insistent that they were going to eat at Applebee's.
Right. I know. I remember at one point during one of the worst points of the pandemic, I called up my brother. He's in LA, and he's like, "Hey man, what are you doing? I can't really talk right now. I'm at an IHOP." And I'm thinking to myself, you're risking your shit for IHOP? That's what you've chosen? That's it?
It's not even like a Michelin star restaurant.
Right. That was where he was drawing his line.
Yeah.
I guess. Maybe he was outside.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Yeah. Well, so the last thing that I want to make sure we hit, and we left it to the very end because we're really good at making sure we get the hot content in
right up top.
We got to talk about your Plaid review. Because I watched it right after it came out, and I was amazed at your reaction to the acceleration, which I think is probably what most people want to talk to you about. Yeah. But you kind of started down the road of talking about like, I can't believe people can just buy this. And it made me think about like the whole discourse around Tesla and like, you know, is it more irresponsible to give people that option or autopilot, or is it all part of the same?
That's an interesting. Nobody's asked me. I haven't thought about that before. Which is more irresponsible? Dude, that car, I can't even explain. Have you guys driven one?
No, I've never driven a Tesla.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I can't even begin to explain the acceleration. And it's kind of funny because I came home from that shoot and I told my friends, like, I'm okay about Tesla. I like electric cars. I'm not obsessed, but at the same time I would get one, whatever. Like, it's not like not a big thing like some of the crazy people. And I came home and I was like, I'm a changed person. I was like, I told them, I told my friends, I said, I'm going to remember 3 days in the history of this channel. The day that I drove the F40, which was like the first really crazy car. The day that I drove Cadillac Super Cruise, which was like the first car. I was sitting there. It was on my 30th birthday. I was sitting there. The car was driving myself. And I'll always remember that as the system. And I will remember the day that I put my foot down in the Plaid. Like, it was insane, life-changingly insane. And so, yeah, like, anybody can do this. When I was a kid, to get a car that was crazy fast, you had to know what you were doing. You were getting like a Diablo. So you had to like know what you were doing. And it was pretty expensive and it wasn't really that fast, right? Now, like, any lawyer can walk into a Tesla store in the mall, right? And order the fastest car ever made. What is going on?
Someone is going to freeze out of terror with their foot planted on the floor.
It is terrifying. No, there's crazy stuff's going to happen. But I don't believe in a world in which we regulate. And, you know, it's actually kind of funny because a couple weeks out, like the next week after I filmed the video of this car, I shot the new Rimac Navara, which is like the fastest car, 0 to 60 in 1.8. And I was like, yeah, this is fast, but, you know, it ruins everything. But I don't know. It is crazy. And you're definitely going to hear some stories about some accidents. But you do in a lot of cars. Right, like a lot of really crazy fast cars that don't require any skill, or, you know, all you have to do is be able to buy it. Right? Yeah. I think that probably says more about our driver education system in this country than anything else. Like that. I mean, like Dave and I were talking about it before the show, and like you can take your driver's test in a Mirage and then buy an RV. Right. Yeah. Which is insane. Yeah, I never really thought about that, but that is completely true. Yeah.
Same license, right?
Yeah. Which is insane. I don't know. It is a crazy situation. probably people will die, but that's true in a lot of situations.
Yeah. That's what we're going to name the episode. Doug DeMuro says probably some people will die.
Weren't we talking about positive vibes earlier?
We'll bring you down. We'll bring you down. That's what I do.
That car is so insane. I just, it's funny. The other thing I realized about Tesla when I was driving home from that video after I had shot it all, and I should have said this in the video, but Tesla is making muscle cars. Like, when you really think about it, they're poorly put together and really fast and not all that expensive when you consider how fast they are. And they're American, right? Like, Tesla is the modern muscle car manufacturer. And it's crazy to think that, but it's like, that's it.
Smash cut to Elon in a Tommy Bahama shirt.
Right. And just instead of insane decals on the car, you get a Twitter account.
Right. Yeah.
Shout about how cool your car is.
Right. That's exactly right. Instead of that crazy wing on the back of the Superbirds,
yes,
you just talk online and post pictures on it and get a Tesla vanity plate.
Yeah,
there you go.
Absolutely.
Oh
man,
yeah. It's so interesting, like, to think that, like, you're still able to drive so much and have something like make such an impact on you, right?
Yeah.
I mean, what's next? Like, what possibly will be the step from there, right? You got
to figure at some point aren't they physics limited? I mean, I don't know. Cars aren't going to do 0 to 60 in 1 second, I imagine. This is kind of coming up to it. Yeah, like we're hitting the end here. It was weird driving it around. I was having such a reaction myself, and people are walking around like it's nothing. And I'm thinking to myself, like, this is one of the craziest moments of my car life, and
right.
It's like another car, can fit a bicycle in the back.
Yeah.
So
meanwhile, like, you're waving a loaded gun around, essentially, right? Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally. Yeah. And they're safe cars. The people who are in them will be fine.
Right.
But I don't know. The thing is, though, what Tesla would respond to this and say is, well, hey, is it, from a safety perspective, is it really that different from a lot of these cars doing 0 to 60 in 3 seconds? And my argument to that would be, well, maybe those cars are problematic too. Like, it's all pretty insane when you really think about it.
Right.
But
I think it's probably different, though, because it is like ostensibly a family car, right? It's like I think when somebody buys a 3-second sports car, they're buying a sports car on purpose. Like, nobody's accidentally buying a 3-second car.
Yeah. Although Taycan is not that much slower and is also insane.
That's
and
true.
you got to figure that, like, SUVs are coming. Like, this Hummer EV, you want to talk crazy and irresponsible. Okay, the Hummer EV, I don't remember what they quoted 0 to 60, but it's going to have like 1,500 horsepower. So it's going to do 0 to 60 in like 3-something seconds. It weighs over 9,000 pounds.
Right.
So imagine driving around a shed, a garage. Imagine driving around a 2-car garage.
Yeah.
Right.
2 E-classes stacked on top of each other, essentially.
Right. Think about that. That is going to be insane.
Right.
That maybe is even more insane than this.
I think it is. I think it is too, and this is something that we've been talking about too a lot with the truck design of, like, just you can't see out of them at all, and then they're faster and like less safe when you hit someone. Like, it's crazy.
Is it weird to you guys? I just realized this yesterday that, like, fast trucks have made a huge comeback in the electric space. Like, remember the Ford Lightning, right? Mm-hmm. And we were talking about the SRT Ram. For some reason, and none of those trucks were popular, right? They were kind of sort of
niche.
Well,
right?
they were also terrible. Like,
they were most of them were terrible.
Did you ever drive? Have you ever driven an old Lightning?
No, but I assume it's a disaster. They're all those
bad.
So like, why has that segment, for some reason, like Rivian, Cybertruck, Hummer EV, new Ford Lightning, why has that segment been like where everybody's focusing for some reason? It's like, okay, these fast trucks didn't work for years and years, so let's everybody go at it at once.
I think it's Dodge's fault, because I think they're the one, or Ram, right? Because they're like they've been shoving the V8 and everything they can.
Yeah.
And actually, this is what spurred our conversations. We drove the 392 Wrangler.
Yeah.
The other day, and it was like, why does this exist?
Right. What is the sticker on that?
It was $80,000. It was nearly $80,000.
Right.
It was just bonkers. And then we got out of that, and we drove the 4xe, and we were like, this is amazing. Like, why would you not? This is $15,000 cheaper and way better.
there's maybe a California thing, but I am seeing 4XEs everywhere. I see at least one a day, and
They're
usually like
so cool.
Yeah.
they are, yeah.
And
there's some benefits that go along with them. Obviously, like being able to go fully electric, and I think you can still get an HOV lane pass out here. And
oh, nice.
But yeah, they're cool. They're neat. People are into them. But you know, Bronco's Bronco. You know.
Yeah.
Oh, you guys aren't Bronco people.
We were at like a press thing. We got to drive a few things back to back, and there was a Bronco there, and there was the 4XE, and then the 392 Wrangler was there as well. And so we drove the Bronco and the 4XE back to back, and it was like, oh, I prefer the 4XE.
Really?
Yeah.
Just because of the plug-in stuff, the powertrain.
Yeah, it just felt lighter and smaller and happier. And you could see out of it. Like the hood line is such a big thing.
Yeah. But you know, Bronco, pretty cool.
It's cool. It looks great. And honestly, I saw the pictures of it going around in the green, dark green. I was like, oh my God, that looks amazing. But I don't know. I'm not an SUV person, so I probably wouldn't buy one anyway. So
yeah.
My opinion doesn't make any sense.
And that's been the most disastrous launch in the history of the auto industry. So,
oh man, poor Ford.
Poor Ford.
Yeah.
Well, Doug and Dave, I think we did a car show.
We did.
I think we did it. Doug, you can, if you enjoyed this, obviously you came here because Doug was on. So you already know to go check out Cars and Bids and follow Doug on YouTube and on Twitter and Instagram and all that. Anything else? Did I miss anything?
No, you got it. That's perfect. Thank you for having me on. I appreciate it.
Thank you. And yeah, anytime you want to come on and be less positive than you are normally.
The license plate game was great.
Okay.
Right? You really can delve into the psyche of your fellow human, which is sometimes a dangerous place to be.
Right. True.
Yeah. We'll have you back on for another one. We'll get a good. We'll craft a good. I have like people just send me these things now. I have like 30 in the hopper that I. Yeah. So we'll see if we can park some for Doug specifically.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, I appreciate it. Thank you guys.
Yeah. Thank you, Doug. All right. Bye.
Bye.